will fly. I will fly away, away, away.
Hello, it's your boy Davidoff and welcome to my Avengers Endgame spoiler talk. What a movie. Last year, around this time last year, I think almost the exact day, I made a spoiler talk to Infinity War, and it's been my pinned tweet on Twitter ever since, the entire year in build up to this. But now, because of this, I guess there'll be a new pinned tweet on Twitter. So there we go. Anyway, yeah, I'm going to try and talk about everything in the movie. Not everything, but at least the majority of things, almost everything. All the main things. There's a lot on here. I noted it all down. I watched it twice already. I gotta say, the second time I saw it, I teared up. There was a tear rolling down my cheek the second time for the moment at the end. There's a spoiler video, so it's all spoilers. When Tony died, oh my god. I couldn't take it. Like, the first time viewing, it was always such a shock. Obviously, it's the first time you're seeing it. But the second time is when I teared up. The first time was fine. The first time I was sad, obviously. But the second time, I probably, like, there was a tear on my cheek. The second time watching, even though I knew it was coming, I knew the scene, but the second time it sunk in even more. So yeah, that was crazy. It was just that when Peter was there saying we want Mr. Stark, and Pepper was trying to talk to him, and he couldn't respond. He was just sitting there like he knew they'd won probably, but because it was disintegrating basically, he couldn't respond. He couldn't respond back. Couldn't talk. He wanted to. He was trying to, and he just couldn't. And yeah, it was a very sad death, a heroic death as well. He died a hero. Literally, the whole movie, I was expecting Cap to die. It's not because of like spoilers or leaks or anything like that. I just thought that Captain America is the guy who's most likely to die. He's been fighting his whole life. It would have been fitting if he like died at the end as a soldier on the battlefield. But it wasn't to be. This whole time, like literally when the final battle started, I thought, okay, so when's Cap gonna die? Who's gonna kill him? I was fully expecting Cap to get murdered by Thanos. I just thought it's coming. When is it coming? Does it get stabbed in the back? What happens? Well, when is it coming? And it never happens. Then it's Tony that dies. Like, I thought Tony would retire, but it's Tony that dies. They twisted that one well on me, I gotta say. Like, I should stop like reading stuff like theories and stuff, because it puts stuff in my head expecting one thing. But some people I think didn't like the twist on it. Some people I think would have preferred Captain to die and Tony to retire. And some people didn't like Widow dying either. I thought it was fine, to be honest. Like for me, like as long as you know that the stakes are high, I wouldn't have minded who they killed off. But I would have thought that to make a great ending, you got to kill someone off. And they had the balls to kill off the face. They killed off the face of the MCU. Like, the guy who started everything, that's the one they killed off. That's a lot of balls right there, Marvel. Like, I'm impressed. Like, Marvel are known a lot for playing it safe, and they do. Most MCU movies, they play it safe. They make the movies fun as well. But they took risks with Infinity War and with this, and I think it paid off in the end. And I noticed at the box office, it's already got 1.2 billion. The weekend's not even over yet, as I'm recording this, and 1.2 billion on Sunday evening already. It's only been out a few days. I'm gonna make a video on that. Don't you worry. But yeah, spoiler talk then. Spoiler talk. Oh yeah, by the way, how amazing was the score? The theme tunes in this movie, the score, like the majority of the movie, the music was so good. It fits so well. And in the final battle, when they all come in, oh my word. Like, Marvel have been criticized for not having good enough memorable theme songs. And that was fair, to be fair, because it was just Avengers, really. Iron Man, I think the first Iron Man movie had really good theme song. Ant-Man as well as a good theme song. But the one that people remember the most is the Avengers one. And they relied a lot on that. But now, like, in Endgame, they really, like... it was a really good score. What's his name? I don't know who the composer was. Let me just check. Hang on a second. Who composed Avengers Endgame? Alan Silvestri. I should know that. Alan Silvestri. He done a great job with this movie. Like, the way the music was all put together, the scenes, it fits so damn well. So yeah, the final battle is what I wanted. Like when I first watched it, it all happened so fast. And I thought like the fight scenes in this movie were not that great. Like I felt it had weaker fight scenes than the other 3 Avengers movies. And I said that in my first ever review, but after I watched the second time, the final battle was like the greatest thing ever. Like literally every hero apart from the ones that were dead was there to fight Thanos and his army. Oh, it was beautiful. Like when I was a kid, I wasn't a big fan of superheroes, but I was just like, why can't they team up? That's what I always used to think. I used to like Superman through Christopher Reeve. I was alright with Batman. I didn't like Batman until Dark Knight Trilogy. I liked Spider-Man as a kid. I liked Wolverine. I liked the Hulk. But I saw all these individual hero movies, and I was like, why can't they team up one day? I want to see them team up. And I wasn't really a big fan of superheroes back then, to be fair, but I still wanted to see them team up. It was like a fantasy of mine in a way. And then after 2012, the Dark Knight Trilogy and the Avengers movie, they made me a big fan of superhero movies, and I was looking forward to everything in the future after that. And yeah, the Avengers movie is what did that. The Avengers movie, the first one, it brought a lot of heroes together in one big battle. I was like, I love this. And then they did something even bigger with Infinity War. And it was epic. And then Endgame, the final battle of Endgame, oh my word. To be fair, that was the only like proper fight scene that was great. The rest were here and there. But still, you know, actually Cap versus Cap, that was a good fight scene. But the final battle, that was one amazing fight scene. And yeah, so let's talk about how the movie goes. So first you get Clint's family disintegrating, and I was expecting it to be fair. Like when I saw it in the trailer, I thought this is probably at the start of the movie, and it was the very first scene. Like I predicted that, I'm pretty sure. Or maybe I didn't, but I think I might have said it at some point during a trailer reaction maybe, but I had a feeling that'd be like the opening scene, one of the few scenes anyway. Actually, no, I thought the opening scene would be like showing the world disintegrating. That's what I thought it would be. I didn't think it would just be Clint's family. I thought it would be like around the world, different cities, planes going down, ships stranded at sea, etc. I thought it'd be like that, but it was just Clint's family, and that was enough to be fair, because it's about the Avengers at the end of the day. But yeah, I saw it coming, but it was still like, oh no, Clint, I feel for you, man. I was never a big fan of him, but he's a hero, he has his own family. I cared about his family as well, and when they disappeared, I was like, this is gonna break him. It's gonna break him. Then again, he became Ronin anyway. He became Ronin afterwards, and that was really cool. We'll get to that later on. After the Marvel titles roll, Tony Levitt on the ship, they play a game, Tony records the message, and he's basically ready to die. And yeah, Captain Marvel saves him. I'm completely fine with that. Like, that was one of the theories, that he'd get saved by Captain Marvel. Oh yeah, the after credits scene in Captain Marvel, that's not in the movie. I think they either cut it out, or it just was never meant to be there anyway. I think maybe that was exclusive to Captain Marvel, and that was just like separate to the movie anyway. I don't know. I really don't know, but either way, like, I guess what happened was they called Captain Marvel. Tony Levitt was still up in space. They called Captain Marvel. She went to Earth, and then from there they managed to locate the ship. Either Tony's message got through. Either his message got through. Maybe he sent other messages before that. Maybe he did that before, and then they got through. Or Rocket knows where the ship is. Like, I saw that in a video recently, actually. That's not my original idea, but it makes sense. Like, Rocket, wouldn't he have a tracker or something on his ship? And maybe he can't get to it because he's just a raccoon. He hasn't got his own ship to get there. So maybe when Captain Marvel arrives, he tells her where they are, and she goes and gets them, and they come back. That's probably what it was. But yeah, I'm completely fine with that, because she's going to space, obviously, meets lots of planets. Like, she'd be able to find a random ship in mid-space. Surely she would. So I was completely fine with that. Captain Marvel was used in this movie, I think, in a decent way. She was shown how powerful she was, but she also didn't overshadow anyone else. Like, she was more powerful, obviously, but she didn't like overshadow anyone. Like, this movie was about the original Avengers, and she didn't overshadow them. So I think it was nice how they used her. And I think hopefully her sequel movies and her future movies are good as well, because I think potentially they got someone cool looking at least, because she's got an awesome suit, and the haircut she got in the movie, I think it was pretty cool. For some reason, I think the hair she had later on in the movie, the short hair, for some reason, it's not because of Brie Larson. It is because of Brie Larson, obviously, because she's playing the character, but I'm not trying to say it looks good on Brie Larson. It looks good on Captain Marvel, who's played by Brie Larson. Do you get what I mean? For some reason, that hair goes over the suit. Maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm just thinking about it a little bit too much. But I think like her look in Avengers Endgame at the end was really good. Like I thought that like it looked cool. I like the mohawk as well. I want to see more of the mohawk, to be fair. So yeah, you get that. Captain Marvel. Yeah, she brings Tony home, and yeah, they made Tony look really skinny. Like I think that was on purpose. Or was he just skinny? I don't know. I was looking like, he's not this skinny, is he? I thought maybe because that's just how he was in real life. But I think that was intentional. They made him skinny to like show that he was starving. And he was angry at Cap, obviously. And yeah, there was obviously after Civil War. So I like how they did that as well. Like that would have been a bit awkward if they were like friendly automatically. So I think it was good to see that he was angry at him. Like I think it's good to see that he still remembers, you know. It's good to see continuity, in other words. And then he collapses, obviously. It's pretty depressing. And then yeah, then it cuts to, no, it doesn't cut. Yeah, actually no. Tony's in bed, in a hospital bed, obviously not hospital bed. He's in bed being treated by Pepper and someone else. And the remaining Avengers plus Captain Marvel, Rocket, Nebula, etc. They go and they find where Thanos is. And they go to the planet, and it's just him, no defense, anything like that. He's just farming, and then they go there, asking where the stones are, and he says he destroyed them. And I was just like, oh, that's pretty interesting, because later on they said, the ancient one said, if you remove one stone, the reality, like, it goes really. I can't remember exactly what she said, but if you remove one stone, then it's not a good thing, obviously. But if you remove 6. Wouldn't that have an effect on the universe? Either way, they brought them all. Actually, they took them all back. So there's no more stones in the universe then. In the main timeline, I just clocked that. Unless they somehow bring it back. You know, it's not the worst thing. I hope they build up to like Galactus, Doom, other stuff. They don't need stones to be powerful, to be fair. But anyway, as I was saying. They go after Thanos. Thanos destroyed the stones, and then Thor goes for the head. He finally goes for the head. It was quite funny as well. He's like, I went for the head. just the way he delivered that line, it was pretty funny. I tell you what, when you hear cheering audiences and clapping, etc., that's usually in America or like Asia somewhere. It doesn't happen in the UK. But for Avengers Endgame, there were people clapping and cheering for parts of the movie. And that was just like, you don't see that in the UK. And it wasn't like really loud though. It was like, you can still hear the movie. In some places it's like, you see on YouTube videos like ridiculously loud. But yeah, I thought that was really cool. How like people were clapping and cheering in some parts of the movie. That was crazy. And then the sad parts, people just go silent and you hear gasps. I love audience reactions, man. I love audience reactions. That's why one of the reasons I love going to the cinema is the audience. Like it's really awesome watching a movie with other people, other strangers, shall we say, especially for comedy. Actually, comedy's probably the best to see with other people because there's so much laughter. But anyway, obviously, oh yeah, I love the quote, "I am inevitable." That Thanos line in this movie, mentioned about 3 times. I thought that was it's a pretty cool damn line. Anyway, Thor went for the head. It fades out to blurry, and then the title, no, not the title actually, the title card is before this scene, but it cuts to 5 years later. So yeah, the MVP of half the universe was a rat. When you think about it, a rat saved half the universe. A rat. Now, Marvel's owned by Disney, and I'm pretty sure Ratatouille is a Disney movie. Is that the crossover we never thought we'd get? Maybe Ratatouille is the one who a live action Ratatouille is the one who let Ant-Man out. Sorry, that's a ridiculous theory, but it would be funny though, wouldn't it, if it was Ratatouille? No, it's not Ratatouille, obviously. I don't know why I'm making stuff up now, but it's a rat. It's still a rat. Push the button to let Ant-Man out. And eventually you find out that for Ant-Man, the 5 years was 5 hours. It's basically quantum realm time physics doesn't work quite the same. And there's a way to time travel, obviously. So Scott gets out, then he goes out and he doesn't realize what happens. Then he realizes what happens, and you get this huge memorial stuff with a lot of dead names, and that makes sense, to be fair, because half the world disappeared. I'm surprised it wasn't more, to be fair. It probably could have been more. I wonder how many were on each gravestone. But he was looking for Cassie's name, constantly. Never found it, but found his own name. Then he went back home and he found Cassie, a much older Cassie. And obviously it's 5 years later. She looks a lot older than 5 years older though. I'm pretty sure the other Cassie was really young. Or maybe not. Maybe it's actually 5 years. I don't know. I don't know. That Cassie just looked older than she probably could have been. But yeah, I thought that was pretty emotional, because Scott was obviously panicking. He could have lost his daughter, and in the end he found out he didn't. Natasha has this council thing with Rocket, Okoye, Carol, Rhodey. They talk of holograms, a bit like Winter Soldier actually. At the end, there's I think the CEO of S.H.I.E.L.D. has hologram interviews with other people. I don't know what they're called. Yeah, you know what I mean. They have conferences in Winter Soldier that have holograms. So similar with Natasha has one with Rocket, Okoye, who's in Wakanda, I assume. Rocket's in space, Carol's in space, and Rhodey's in Mexico looking for Clint. Obviously Clint is around murdering people. He's basically going around killing criminals. So they mentioned cartels before. Then it was Japanese, I think it was Yakuza maybe. He was fighting in Japan. So that's another thing. It was Japan, right? Don't want to get these things wrong. But yeah, it was pretty dark. We'll get to the Japan scene later, when actually, like, I want to try and talk in order. I want to like try and get it all in order. Yeah, so Cap and Natasha talk about well, they let Scott in first because Scott's come to visit them, and Scott talks about time travel. So they need someone to help them do it, obviously, and they go to Tony Stark, and he's like, I refuse. Oh yeah, Tony has a daughter as well. I thought that was nice. I felt it was nice that he had a life, you know, after all of that. But you can tell he had some guilt in him. Obviously, he lost the kid, he lost Peter. If you watch the scene in Homecoming after the ship scene, and then the death scene in Infinity War, you know, it really like hits harder. Like when you see Homecoming again, that Spider-Man and Tony arc just hits so much harder. So it's even worse when he dies at the end as well, Tony. So they go to Professor Hulk. Now, here's my opinion on Hulk. He was the weakest part of Infinity War, and to be honest, probably the weakest part of Endgame. When I mean weak, I don't mean like strength-wise. I mean like in terms of like adding to the movie. Not been a fan of Hulk recently, to be honest. I liked him up to Ragnarok, but Infinity War and Endgame have been disappointed. Hulk is a cool character that I grew up with, to be fair. The movies, I mean, not the comics. I read one Hulk comic actually, to be fair. I read 2 comics in my life. One was Hulk. I watched the original Hulk movie. Not original actually, but it was like 2002, I think. Then the Incredible Hulk. Incredible Hulk was not a great movie, like average at best, but Hulk was cool in that. The Hulk action scenes were cool, and to be honest, I think Edward Norton's Hulk was better than Ruffalo's. Ruffalo's isn't bad. It's just not well written, in my opinion. Professor Hulk. Look, I watch Comics Explained. I understand that Professor Hulk is the weakest version of Hulk. I get that. He's a smart version of Hulk. He's a mix of Banner and Hulk. I get that he's not meant to be like menacing and angry all the time, but still, you know, I was still underwhelmed by Professor Hulk. I thought it was a cool concept, and I was looking forward to seeing Professor Hulk, but I was still underwhelmed by it. I was just like, and in the end, we didn't even get a Hulk v Thanos rematch. I wanted that rematch, and we didn't get it. I thought that was really frustrating that it didn't happen. I just thought it would have been very interesting to see them rematch each other. But yeah, I'm just disappointed with Hulk, you know, the whole Hulk story arc. And at the moment, Universal won't allow a solo movie for Hulk. If you're wondering why they don't do Hulk movies, it's because of Universal. They still own the rights to the Hulk, if you didn't know. Marvel basically borrowed the Hulk, and they can use them as much as they want, as long as it's not his own movie. It has to be in a separate movie. So it can be in Ragnarok, it can be in Avengers movies, but that's it. He can only be in other people's movies. He can't be his own main movie. But still, I'm disappointed by how they've handled him. Like, like in Infinity War, he was the worst, I think. Like, obviously he was barely there, but still, I mean, yeah. But you see Professor Hulk, and I think, to be fair, the CGI was cool on him, and like to be fair, most of the CGI was really good. A big improvement on Infinity War, actually. Infinity War had good CGI, but it had a few visible errors. Endgame, maybe there's one or two things. Like, there was one part where Rhodey was looking over someone, and over Stark, I think, at the end of his death scene, and it looked weird, the CGI. But apart from like a couple other things, Endgame was almost like really good. Like, it was really good in CGI. Infinity War had some errors, especially with the Hulk. But yeah, the CGI in Endgame, especially on the Hulk as well, and Thanos, I think it looked really good. So very impressed by that. Yeah, Tony obviously says no to the time travel, but he sees a photo of Peter, has a change of heart, and tries to figure out time travel, and he figures it out. And he talks to Pepper about it, and she says, well, it's one of the worst decisions to try and make him stop, you know, because he always wants to like go and save people and wants to try and do what he's trying to do, and Pepper's been trying to stop him this whole time, and now she's like, go, you know, she's like, go and help them. So that's not exactly what she said, but pretty much that's what she implies. So yeah, they try time travel and they fail because, well, Tony's not there yet, first of all, but they turn Scott into a kid, then an old man. That was a pretty funny scene. Tony arrives and yeah, basically I think what they were doing wrong was they were pushing time through Scott rather than Scott through time, and Tony figured out how to like do it the right way. So I'm pretty sure Hawkeye tried it out and it worked. We'll get to that later on. Yeah, we'll get to it right now, actually. So I got Green Arrow vibes from Natasha getting Hawkeye, or Ronin, shall we say, getting Clint. Because I watched the Arrow show. I've been watching since season 1. I started watching really late, but I still I've watched every episode, and it has like really cool vigilante archer fight scenes with blades and stuff, etc. And with Hawkeye, you got some similar scenes to that in Japan, and I thought it was pretty cool. I thought it was like, wow, this is similar to Green Arrow in a way. I thought it was really well choreographed. Like, Marvel could make a really good vigilante show, you know, vigilante movie, like, you know, one about Ronin. I think it could be really cool, you know. I think they're making Shang-Chi. I think that's a martial arts movie. Hopefully that's good. I want to see like a Marvel fighting movie. Like, we see fighting movies, but I mean like grounded ones between humans. I just think it would be more stuff like Clint beating up Yakuza would be awesome in the MCU. I'm just saying, just change it up, you know. I think it's great. So yeah, the Avengers are getting a team. So Natasha gets Clint. Hulk and Rocket go to Tonsberg, Norway, which is New Asgard, where the rest of the Guardians that are left, I think there's like a quarter of them now, because half of them died, and then the other half got dusted away, I assume. So yeah, you get the oh yeah, Tonsberg, Norway is the location of the battle between Asgardians and Frost Giants in Thor Thor 1. The first Thor movie, there's a flashback scene where there's a battle between Odin and Asgard and the Frost Giants. That happens in Tonsberg. And also Red Skull getting the Tesseract in the first Avenger, that's also in Tonsberg. So it's in the same area. So yeah, I thought that was pretty cool. Also, Odin died in Norway as well, so it makes sense that they was going Norway. I'm pretty sure in the comics as well it was in Norway too, so I think they're setting up the whole time, to be fair. So yeah, you see Valkyrie there. I did not know if she was going to be in the movie. I was not sure. Like, if she wasn't, I wouldn't have been surprised. Then I saw her, I was like, yes, Valkyrie's in this. Nice to see her. We see Korg and Meek as well, talking to Noob, some 169, I think was Noob. Noob Master, the game they're playing against. That was pretty funny. So you can see Thor is fat. It's done in a comedic way, but Thor is fat. But you get why it's fat. Like some people said, it's not a good thing. Like some people had a problem with this. To be honest, a lot of people did. I think with the way they handled Thor, because we didn't get the badass Thor from the beginning and from Infinity War. But I could accept it. I could accept it because obviously he thinks he failed and he blames himself. And he didn't go for the head. He wanted to look Thanos in the eye first. He could have like finished this job off, but he didn't. And he had to live with the fact that because of that, Thanos snapped and half the universe disappeared. And he was very depressed. And he was constantly drinking beer, not fighting anyone, just drinking beer and playing Fortnite all day for 5 years. So I think it's understandable, like because he felt guilt and he was depressed about it. I understand why, you know, he would be in that shape. So I personally thought it was fine. Like I would have preferred the badass Thor as well, but I honestly thought it was fine. Like honestly, Hulk and Rocket convinced him to help. So there we go. That's how they get Thor. Natasha gets Barton, and yeah, they get all the teams back together basically, and they have a plan to get all 6 Infinity Stones, 3 in New York, 1 in the Avengers battle in 2012, and sorry, 3 of them in the Avengers battle in 2012. So they go back to, like, this was in my predictions for Endgame. They were gonna go back to past movies, and I'm pretty sure I said one of them was the Avengers, and they went back to that scene. And to be fair, that was in a set photo. Like last year, there was a leaked set photo of the New York Avengers scene. So I kind of knew, like literally that set photo probably gave away more of the movie than the trailers, which is pretty good to be fair. Like they didn't give away too much, which is great. But literally a few set photos gave away more if you think about it. But yeah, I had a feeling they go back to the Avengers. So there's 3 stones there. There's the Time Stone. Obviously, what's it called? Sanctum. At the Sanctum, yeah. And then there's a Time Stone. No, the Space Stone and the Mind Stone is in the battle, obviously in Avengers Tower. So they go after that. I think it's Hulk, Cap, Tony, and Scott. Yeah. Hulk goes towards Doctor Strange's place, and the other 3 goes towards the other 2 stones. And then Thor and Rocket have to go to Asgard in 2013, and to get the Power Stone, they have to go to Guardians 2014, the events of that movie. Nebula and Rhodey go there, and also Clint and Natasha make the same trip, and they have to fly to Vormir to get the Soul Stone. And when I realized, like, you need to sacrifice yourself, I realized as soon as I knew they were going to Vormir, I realized, yeah, one of them's dying, and I wasn't sure who at the time. Like, I was like, oh no, who's going to die? So yeah, then you get Banner convincing the Ancient One to try and give him the Time Stone, and they basically eventually she gives it to him. Pretty much what turns her is Bruce tells her that Doctor Strange willingly gave it to Thanos, and then she realized that it was probably for a reason. So yeah, there's that as well. And Scott goes to Avengers Tower. Tony and Scott go to Avengers Tower, where it's the ending of Avengers basically, where they're standing over Loki. So you get the return of Loki. So Tony and Scott are trying to get the Space Stone, and things go wrong. Loki gets the Space Stone and disappears with it. And I'm pretty sure there's a Loki TV show coming. So maybe that TV show is based on that separate reality, a separate timeline where Loki's still alive after Avengers and he's not imprisoned. So that's probably what the show's based on, based on what I see. So there's that as well. And yeah, then you get, oh my words, the Cap elevator scene. I was like, when he got in the elevator with those characters from Winter Soldier, I thought there's going to be some hands there. It's going to be like a similar fight scene. Like, I thought he was going to say, before we get started, does anybody want to get out? But that never happened. Something even better happened. So he talks about, like taking the briefcase because he's in charge now, and he whispers in the guy's ear, "Hell Hydra." I thought, oh my words. Like, it was sort of a reference to the comics as well, but the fact that he said Hell Hydra, And that worked as well. That was a funny thing. That actually worked. He said hail hi. Oh my. Oh, that was perfect. Honestly, that was perfect. That was. Oh, that was beautiful. That was. When he said hail. Oh, that was one of the best lines in the movie. And then you get Cap versus Cap. And old Cap is like. No, not old. He's not old, but. Past Cap from 2012. He's like, I can do this all day. And he's. And new Cap's like. I know, yeah, that was a funny scene as well. It had the audience laughing as well, both times I went to see it. And yeah, it was a funny scene. I liked that. I like Cap versus Cap. That was an awesome scene. There were a lot of good callbacks and quotes in this movie. I don't think I named all of them, to be honest. Like I probably missed some, because there's a lot of like references to previous movies. Like, it really does end the arc of most of the movies in the MCU, which is amazing. Obviously there's Guardians 3, Doctor Strange 2, Black Panther 2, Spider-Man 2. Those are all coming out obviously, but still it really wraps up a lot of movies in this in Endgame. And I think it just did really damn well. So yeah, then you get the Nebula and Rhodey scene. They get the Power Stone, and then Thanos finds out through Nebula. So I guess obviously they have the same network, and that's how they find out. So I was like, because I was wondering, like, how's Thanos gonna come back? Like, how does he resurrect himself? What happens? Was his death an illusion? Like, that's what I thought at first, because when Gamora killed him in the last movie, that was an illusion. I thought when Thor killed him, that was an illusion as well, and it wasn't. The whole time it wasn't an illusion. So I was a bit confused. I was like, how are they gonna get him back in? And that's how they did it, is through Nebula. So the past Nebula has the same network, and she gets the memories of the future Nebula. Should have changed the Wi-Fi password, to be honest. But still, I thought that was pretty cool how they got through the same network. I thought that was a nice little loophole to get them in. So because Tony and Scott failed, Tony and Cap decide to go to 1970, where Hank Pym and Howard Stark are there at the same time, along with the Space Stone and more Pym particles to get them back home, because they only had one round trip each. And it worked. And it also had some heartwarming scenes between Tony and Howard. I thought that was very nice. He got to talk to his dad. I think that was amazing, how he actually got to talk to the man properly. And I think that was a nice heart-to-heart. That was brilliant. Then obviously there's Cap seeing Peggy, which must have been really emotional for him. But yeah, they pulled off the heist really well. I thought that was really nice, like how they went back there, the birthplace of the idea of Captain America. I thought that was awesome. Then you get Gamora. Old Gamora is obviously not the dead one, the one from the past. The Gamora, Nebula, Thanos, and more. They find out that Thanos wins in the future, and that they're trying to undo everything. So they have a plan to they capture Nebula first of all. They capture 2019 Nebula, or 2018 Nebula actually, or 2023 Nebula actually, because it was 5 years later. They capture her, then the evil Nebula takes her disguise and goes in place of her. So they think the good Nebula's back when it's the different Nebula. So I thought that was pretty cool. And she gave Thanos the particle, the Pym particle, to get to the future. So that's how Thanos would obviously he knows where the stones are. He knows they're going to be in the future, so he's just going to go and get them all straight away. Advance his plans. I think a lot of people are confused about the time travel stuff. It's hard for me to explain as well, to be fair, but in the Marvel universe it doesn't work the same way as like real life, or like, I mean, it doesn't work in real life anyway. You can't travel back in time, but it doesn't work like the DC universe, for example. Changing the past in the MCU does not change your present. It just creates a new timeline, basically. So Thanos jumping to the future does not mean Infinity War doesn't happen. People might think like maybe that means Infinity War doesn't happen, and it might be a plot hole. It might be, to be fair, but I just think it creates a new timeline. I just think that's all it is. I think the present still stays the same. Everything still happens. It's just that a guy from the past goes to the future. So then you get a surprisingly heartwarming scene between Thor and his mother. His mother knows that he's from the future, figures it out. She knows her son, obviously. And I thought that was amazing. Like, it was the day she died as well. And that was an emotional scene. I kind of like how they did that. That was low key better than, like, I didn't want to be reminded of Thor: The Dark World, because they went back to 2013 to Asgard for the events of Thor: The Dark World, and that's the worst MCU movie. But they made it nice, you know. They made me want to watch that again for some reason, because I want to see the moments again. But yeah, I thought they did really well pulling off that emotional scene with him and his mum, and it gets Mjolnir back as well, so that's another thing. And Natasha dying. Now, I mentioned in my review there was one scene where it was like it didn't seem to impact as much as I thought it would, something like that anyway. And this was that scene. Basically, I understand Natasha dying. I understand it was emotional. They're both trying to die basically, and Natasha stopped Clint. Clint stopped Natasha, and then Natasha stopped Clint again. And then they let go, obviously, and Natasha died. The same music as Gamora's death, which makes sense. But it was kind of like, I kind of felt it happened too fast. Just for me. Like, I think it took away a little bit from the emotional impact of it. Like, I understand her dying completely, but it happened way too fast. Like, Gamora's scene seemed perfectly timed. This one seemed to be timed a bit too quickly. Just my opinion. I still thought it was a heroic, valiant death, but I just felt that, I don't know. I'm not trying to say it should drag out so long, but it felt a bit too fast. At least to me, anyway. But I understand the sacrifice. It was a crazy part of the movie. So they all return with evil Nebula, obviously, and then they realize that Natasha is gone. So obviously that's heart-wrenching, because she's been there the whole time since the beginning, since Iron Man 2. Since the original Avengers team, the original 6, and she was killed off just like that. So I assume her solo movie will be a prequel. Hopefully it's about Budapest, hopefully, and put Clint in there as well, because they keep mentioning Budapest. Make a movie about Budapest. Make a movie about whatever happened in Budapest. I want to know. I really do want to know. They mention it again as well in Endgame. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, they mentioned it once in Endgame. So yeah, Bruce Hulk. Let's call him Bruce Hulk. Professor Hulk uses a new gauntlet that they made from an Iron Man glove, I think, to snap, because they have all the stones. It burns out his arm, but it does snap, which basically means that everyone comes back. So I assume at this point, Doctor Strange starts to, obviously, he starts to get everyone together basically for battle. And obviously, evil Nebula uses the time machine to get Thanos' ship into the future from the past. So that is very scary, obviously. And yeah, and he bombs the compound. The Avengers compound is completely bombed. Now, I thought this would be the middle of the movie. I thought it'd be like second act maybe, because I knew it was happening. Like, there was a leak about it. I knew it was happening. But it was the final act. Like, this is where the final battle was about to begin. So Thanos bombs the compound after they snap everyone back in. So that was a really like crazy scene. Like, the only thing about it was, shouldn't people die in that? To be honest, to be fair, a lot of Marvel movies have like convenient moments. Like, convenience is one of the things that happen in Avengers movies. But you know, it's still great, obviously. But you know, sometimes convenience is there. But still, the fact that they all survived the bombing, that was pretty mad. They're pretty strong to survive that. I gotta say, or it's just fictional, Davidoff. Let's just calm down here. So yeah. So the final act basically begins here. Thanos is waiting. He says, "Thank you, daughter," to Nebula, and Nebula and Gamora, the good ones. Well, no, Nebula's good, but Gamora has a change of heart. Obviously, in 2014, she was gonna betray Thanos anyway. So. Nebula and Gamora break out to go after the other Nebula, who's going after the stones. Rhodey, Rocket, and Scott, I think, are trapped underneath the compound. Scott eventually saves them. Clint is with Outriders. He's stuck with Outriders. He's trying to get out. He has the gauntlet as well. He leaves with the gauntlet. He manages to take out the Outriders. That was a pretty badass scene, I thought. Just for him to have the gauntlet taken away by Nebula. But then Gamora and Nebula stop him, and Nebula shoots Nebula. Now, honestly, I thought that killing past Nebula would erase future Nebula, but apparently, because it's a different reality, as I said earlier, because it's like a new timeline, different timelines, it doesn't affect it. So that's probably why. But it was still a bit confusing. I was like, wait, shouldn't she disappear now that she's dead? I was a little confused there. But yeah, that happens. So yeah, so then you get Captain America, Thor, and Iron Man against Thanos. The Trinity of Marvel taking on Thanos. I wish Hulk was there, but still, they take on Thanos. So, yeah, the fight scene is pretty cool. And then, Thor's about to basically die, and Cap picks up Mjolnir. To be fair, they teased this since Age of Ultron. They've been teasing it. Age of Ultron is not a good movie for me, but they really set up a lot of things in that movie. They really did. Especially Captain America lifting that. Apparently there's a theory called that he couldn't lift it because he was guilty about hiding the secret of Tony's parents. I think that's just a theory, to be honest. But what could the reason be? But either way, he lifted up Mjolnir. And obviously Thanos is nerfed in MCU, obviously. He's not like comics Thanos. But I thought it was pretty cool how Cap took on Thanos one-on-one. Thanos still battered him in the end. But still, what he did with the shield and hammer as well, like first of all he hit him with the hammer, then when he gets the hammer back, it's just a cheering moment in cinema. Like everyone's like, oh wow, you see clapping everywhere, and I'm like, this is badass. This moment is badass. And the part where he threw the shield past Thanos, then threw the hammer, and they both come back and hit Thanos, I thought that was pretty cool. And Cap just he gave everything he got. But Thanos broke his shield, and that was reminiscent of the comic scene where Thanos breaks his shield and then kills him, but it didn't kill him then. He almost did, but he just didn't kill him. And then Thanos says, what I'm going to do to your annoying little planets, I'm going to enjoy. That was a very bad impression, sorry, but I like Thanos' lines. I thought he was better in Infinity War for sure, but I think Josh Brolin played a great role. Like, him as Thanos was brilliant. Like, what's a villain? What's a villain? Like, really, his lines in this movie are just unreal. So yeah, he releases his entire army, the Chitauri from 2014. Obviously, I mean, wait, the Chitauri should be dead, right? When they all killed in Avengers, I guess he had more Chitauri. Because we didn't see like, we saw like one Chitauri soldier in Infinity War. So should they have been there? That might be a plot hole, actually. There are plot holes in this movie, definitely. I'm not denying that. That might be one of them, though. Because the Chitauri should be destroyed. I don't know, but either way, all the Chitauri and all the Outriders and extra monster thingies and the Black Order are back, and everyone Thanos has, he wants to throw everything at it. He wants to destroy the planet. Basically, like, he sees that the other half won't be grateful, so he'll just kill everyone instead and just rebuild the Earth with new life. Rebuild the world, the universe with... He basically, instead of like... He changes his mind basically. Instead of like erasing half, he'll erase everyone. And then he'll create a new world, a new universe. That's his plan at this point. So obviously he's gone full on ruthless now, instead of a bit of sympathetic in a way like Infinity War. And then you get this very nice scene. It's not nice, but Cap, one man, standing against that entire army. Like, you can tell he was willing to die right there. He was willing to die to stop all of them. And then you hear Sam, can you read me? Can you read me? And then he said, this is a very nice quote, man. A very nice callback to Winter Soldier. On your left. Sam said, on your left. Oh, I was geeking out. I was like, oh, here we go. Here we go. And then everyone arrives through Doctor Strange's portals. Black Panther arrives first with Shuri and Okoye. Valkyrie and the Asgardians arrive. All the Avengers. Wasp comes back. Wasp and Ant-Man reunion was quite cool. Spider-Man, Guardians. Everyone apart from Black Widow and the dead Gamora, obviously. Everyone came back to battle Thanos' army. That was an epic moment. Literally every superhero that was still alive in the MCU was there. Oh, that was brilliant. And Giant Man as well. Ant-Man was Giant Man. And I thought that was amazing too. Oh, that was the theme song as well. And then Cap says, Avengers! The music stops. Assemble. Oh, my words. What a movie. What a movie, what a moment. That was just, he finally said it. I was gonna say, he better say that. He better say that damn phrase. He better say that damn phrase. I said it in a previous video before Endgame, and he finally flipping said it. Thank you, Marvel, for these 11 years, man. You have done so well with these 11 years. Like, it's not all been great. There's been some bad movies as well, but the overall story was amazing, and this was a perfect ending. I know there's more, but this is the end of the current era of Marvel movies, and wow, the fact that he ended it with the best battle, you know, it's just brilliant. It's much better than the airport scene. Like, the first time I saw it, I thought action scenes are not that great. They're pretty good. They're passable. But the second time viewing, there's some great moments in it. Though there were always, like, even the first time I saw it, the moments in that final battle were just amazing. But I appreciated the battle more after watching the second time. It was just flipping amazing. So the battle was awesome. It needed more Hulk though. It didn't have that much Hulk, to be honest, and more Korg probably. It needed more Doctor Strange. It had some good moments though. Had some good interactions and team ups between characters. Had the all women thing as well, which was not really necessary, but I thought that was pretty nice. A tease to A-Force possibly. That's a female Avengers team in the comics that they might do. But yeah, that was pretty cool. So you get Tony and Peter's reunion, which is very nice, and he just hugs him, and Peter's like, "Oh, this is nice," and he doesn't really know because he's been gone for 5 years. But for him, it was like a few seconds. He dusted it away, and then he's back after a few seconds. Star-Lord and Gamora, obviously they sort of reunite, but there's a different Gamora obviously from the past before she met Star-Lord. So she kicks her in the balls for touching her. So fair enough. Nebula says it was either him or a tree. I thought that was a pretty funny scene. So I assume, like in Guardians 3, they'll probably look for Gamora. And I think, hopefully, Thor is in Guardians 3. As far as I know, they teased by the ending that he would be in Guardians 3. Hopefully that's actually true. That would be amazing. So Clint has the gauntlet still, obviously, and he's trying to run to the quantum realm. There's a van. What's his name? Well, Louise, I think his name. His van's in the middle of the battlefield. Ant-Man and Wasp will fix it, and they got to get it through the portal to get it away from Thanos and the current timeline. And pretty much what happens is, well, Clint tries to get it. It's like a relay. It's like a relay race, you know. Clint tries to get it across. He can't quite do it. Then Black Panther helps him, and that's quite a nice thing, because 2 years ago Clint was like, "I'm Clint." And Black Panther's like, "I don't care." And 2 years later, he's like, "Give it to me." They're working together now instead of fighting each other. I just think that's, you know, it's a nice. It's not a callback, but I think the last time they spoke was that scene in Civil War. So I think it was a nice. It was nice to put that in, to put Panther taking the gauntlet off Clint. Then Spider-Man took it off. Took it off Panther. No, Ebony Maw took it off Panther, and then Spider-Man went and took it. And Valkyrie, Pepper Potts, and I think who else helped? Yeah, Pepper and Valkyrie helped her deliver the gauntlet. But then Spider-Man got stopped, and yeah, then Thanos comes in, and Wanda's there. Wanda lands in, and I'm like, "You get him, you destroy him, you show everybody, you show him just how powerful you are." That's what I'm thinking in my head. And she was like, "You took everything from me," and I was like, yes, he did. Now destroy him. And she was gonna rip him apart. Like, she was legit. She was going to rip him apart. Like, she has that power. I'm pretty sure she's a lot more powerful in the comics, but still, like, she was going to rip him apart. She was just destroying Thanos, like, on her own. She was like proper destroying Thanos. And Thanos is like, rain down fire, because he's in trouble clearly. He probably knew how powerful she was, so he said fire in the battlefield, and they do that, and it catches her off guard. And then Captain Marvel comes in to destroy the ship, which is completely fine by me. Like, she's obviously very strong, so I get why she would go and destroy the ship. I don't get why Thor didn't try to, though, to be fair. Why didn't Thor try? Either way, Captain Marvel did that. She destroyed the ship, and that's completely fine. She's basically Marvel Superman, I think. So, you know, I think that's completely fine how she destroyed the ship. It's a really cool ship, cool looking ship, but she took it out pretty easily. So that's Thanos pretty upset about that. It's going to cost a lot for insurance, that's for sure. And then you get that all-women scene I mentioned earlier, with all the women in the movie basically just teaming up to help Captain Marvel. The thing is, I don't think she needed the help, to be fair, because she could have just flown over. Like, she's very powerful, obviously. But she did have a gauntlet, to be fair, so she probably could have used as some help. But yeah, that was a pretty interesting scene. They didn't really fight much, though. They showed them together walking up to the battle, and that was about it. But Captain Marvel was trying to get the gauntlet over to... so it was Clint to T'Challa, then T'Challa to Peter, then Peter to Carol. And she tries to get it in, and she almost does, but Thanos just about destroys the quantum realm time machine, so that's that plan out of the way. And then they're fighting, have a tussle with Thanos. Thanos is right there, the gauntlet. Tony tries to stop him. Cap tries to stop him. Captain Marvel tries to stop him. Captain Marvel, like, literally, he headbutted her. He headbutted Captain Marvel, and she didn't even flinch. Like, she was like, got headbutted, and she was still like, no, not today. She didn't even move. I was like, she's definitely powerful. She got hit by flipping Thanos, and she didn't even flinch. That was, I thought that was a pretty badass moment, actually, to be fair. But Thanos was clever. He was clever to use the Power Stone to shoot her away. And then Tony comes in to stop him, and they fight over the stones, have a tussle over the stones. And then you would think, because Tony's hit away, and I thought, oh no, Thanos has won again. He's won again, he's about to snap. And he snaps. And he says, he actually says, first he says, I am inevitable. Inspired by seeing the flashback of future Thanos. And then he snaps. And I thought, oh no. But then it didn't work. He turns it around and there's no stones there. And it's Tony. Tony gets the stones. The thing is though, they burnt Hulk's arm off. And it didn't really burn Tony until he snapped. But still, Tony gets all the stones and he's like, and I am Iron Man. The very quote at the end of Iron Man, the movie, where he admits as Iron Man, that is the quote that kills Thanos, like in the final battle. Like, the one who started it all is the one who ends it all. I just thought that was very poetic. And that's why I was really happy with, not happy, obviously, I was upset with that, but it was very fitting, that scene, is what I'm saying. Like, the way he died, it was very fitting. He got very much heroic death. He got the sort of death that I thought Captain America would have, but he's the one who got that death, and I thought that was like, it was amazing how he sacrificed himself, and it's amazing to see how he's grown over the years, you know, like from Iron Man to Avengers, to Age of Ultron, to this point, to Civil War, to this point where he snaps Thanos and his army out of existence. Oh, that was powerful. And then comes the emotional scene. I talked about it already, to be fair, but he couldn't respond, and him and Pete was the worst part. That was when I started, like, that's when the tear came out. I was just like, wow, that really hit me hard. That, honestly, that part, it hit me so damn hard, like a train. Even the second time, it hit me harder than the first time, even though I saw it coming. And then you see Pepper's reaction as well, and Rhodey, and Tony just can't respond. He can't respond back because obviously he's sort of burnt out by the stones. And that was a really gut-wrenching thing to see, because it was just obviously awful what happened. And well, man, it's hard to explain, to be honest, the impact of that death, but if you're a fan, you know the impact of it. It's just wow. just wow, you know. And then you get the funeral, I'm pretty sure. Oh yeah, just before Tony snapped, Doctor Strange signaled saying, one. It's almost like Tony knew what was going to do. Like, he knew what Tony was going to do because he saw the possibilities and he saw the way that they win. And they said earlier, actually, Doctor Strange said, if I tell you what happens, it won't happen. So obviously that makes sense. But Doctor Strange signal was like the one that they win, and that was where Tony snaps. And yeah, it was just such a nice damn ending. And that's why I had to spare Tony. Like, you realize now that they had to spare Tony, had to be alive because he's the one that had to kill Thanos. So that was amazingly done. Infinity War, I think, possibly was the better movie, but this was just more epic in terms of the ending. It was so emotional. This one was more emotional than the last one, but Infinity War might be the better movie. Both are great though. Both are great. I can't wait to see this on Blu-ray. Like, I'm gonna see it again in the cinema for sure, at least a few more times. And then when it comes out on Blu-ray, gonna watch it a lot for sure. And digital as well. I'll buy it on like YouTube and stuff, YouTube movies. Oh, it's such an emotional movie, man. It's just amazing. You know, it's just damn amazing. Two great movies, you know. They managed to do two great back-to-back movies. Like, back-to-back movies are very risky because they don't always work. They tend to fail quite a lot, actually, to be fair, one after the other. But these two, they worked. These two, they definitely flipping worked. That was really damn good. So yeah, then you get the funeral scene. All the characters are there. All the Avengers, the Guardians, Black Panther, obviously, Okoye. Is Shuri there? I think Shuri's there. Carol's there. Nick Fury is there as well. And there's a random kid in there. There's a random kid who's standing there, and some people were confused. That was the kid from Iron Man 3. So the Iron Man 3, when Tony meets that kid who helps him out and stuff, that's the same kid. Apparently it's the same actor as well. Apparently it's the exact same actor. He signed on to come back and reprise his role. He looks a lot older because he is a lot older. He's like, what? He's 6 years older now, I think. So that's why he looks like a lot taller and older. But it's the exact same kid, same actor from Iron Man 3. Just so you know, I thought that was a really good. I didn't realize at first. Like at first I was like, who's this? Then I saw like comments on YouTube and I was like, oh, okay, it's him. And I did read, like, he did reply to his role for Iron Man 3. Also, what's her name? Is it Langford? No, not Langford. That's the fictional character name. You know the girl from 13 Reasons Why? The main character. Hannah Baker. That's the character's name. The actress that plays her, she was cast for Endgame. And I don't remember her being in here. Was she there? I don't know. Was she just the voice of Friday during Tony's scene early on? Maybe it was that. I don't know. But I'm pretty sure she was there, right? I don't know. Was she at the funeral? No. I thought she was gonna be Hawkeye's daughter, but that was a different girl. So I don't know. Maybe it's just like a weird rumor, but she was listed, right? I don't know. Either way, I have no idea. So yeah, then you get all the endings. So Thor leaves Asgard to Valkyrie to rule. I don't know if that was possible, but I guess it can go outside the family now. And he goes with the Guardians. So that's why it hinted to me, like, is he in Guardians 3? That's what I want to know. And hopefully he's more badass by then if he's still in there. So leaving it to Valkyrie to rule, I don't mind that, to be honest. I don't see the issue. I think that's completely fine. Like, I know Thor has an arc to, like, he eventually becomes like the leader that he's supposed to be. That's his story arc over all the movies. But I still think, like, being a warrior, being a guard is more him than being the king, being the leader. That's why I don't mind. He doesn't need to be king, you know. I don't feel that he needs to be. I know it's part of his story arc, but I still don't feel the need for it anyway. So yeah, and then here's a part. This is probably the most confusing part because Captain America sent back in time to return all the stones and the hammer, and I'm sure he did. And then he doesn't come back. They can't get him back because he's gone to his past to be with Peggy. And that's understandable. But the confusion was, wouldn't that change the timeline? But I'm pretty sure because when they went back to 2012, there's another Cap there. So what I assume is when he went back to like 1940s, 1950s, the other Cap was still frozen. So everything still works out the same. What was the weird thing about it though is that he knows Bucky's been being tortured. He knows that Hydra are infiltrating S.H.I.E.L.D. Is he the type of guy to like stand by and do nothing? That's all I was thinking. Like, surely he would want to step in at the very least. Or maybe he just accepted it. He just wanted a normal life, and he knew it was all gonna play out the way it was gonna play out anyway. And I guess he like stayed in the shadows basically. He just stayed away from the public eye to avoid being seen, and that way the timeline never got affected. Maybe it's that. Maybe that's just how it happened. That's probably it. But yeah, you see him as an old man there, And this is a part that I disagreed with. Like I mentioned in my review, there's a few things I disagreed with. This is one of them. So he handed on the mantle of Captain America to Sam Wilson. Now look, I don't dislike Sam Wilson. I think he's cool. I think the Falcon concept is cool. But that's the thing, like, I like him as Falcon. And with Captain America, I think it should have been Bucky. Like, it should have been, like, for the sake of the story arc that they had from the very first Captain America movie up until Civil War, up until Infinity War and Endgame, I just felt it was fitting. And Winter Soldier as well, I just felt it was fitting that Bucky eventually got that shield, that he would have the mantle of Captain America. But instead it was Sam Wilson. So that's why I was a bit confused. Not confused, I was a bit like, I wanted the other one, I wanted Bucky. And I don't understand why he'd have picked Sam over Bucky. I mean, they're both his best friends, I get that, but I just felt he should have picked Bucky, for sure. And the fact that there was no conversation there between him and Bucky either, that was a little weird. They probably did, to be fair, off camera, off screen. But still, you know, I would have liked to see another scene between him and Bucky. And I would have liked to see Bucky get the shield. But, you know, what happened. You know, I'm willing to give, like, even things that I disagree with in movies, I'm willing to give it a chance before I judge it. So, there's going to be a new show called Bucky and Falcon, I think. Or Falcon and Bucky. Let's see how that goes. I'll give it a chance. Sam Wilson, Captain America, I'll give it a chance. See what it's like. But I would have preferred Bucky, Captain America, and Falcon, Sam. I just think they would have been better. But yeah, that's just how it is. I'll give it a chance. I'm looking forward to that TV show, actually. I think that can be the best one out of the MCU TV shows that they're doing in Disney Plus. Other one is WandaVision. Not looking forward to that, to be honest. What I assume that is a prequel to Infinity War. So it's between Civil War and Infinity War. What they're doing in those 2 years. That's probably what that series is about. Probably Loki series is about alternate reality, and Falcon Bucky about after Endgame, like what they're doing, basically go on missions, etc. That's probably what it is. So then the final scene. Actually, wait, before the final scene, one thing. He returned the Soul Stone to the Red Skull. So, did he meet the Red Skull? Did Cap meet the Red Skull? And if he did, why wasn't it shown or mentioned? Like, I wanted to see Cap meet the Red Skull. Like, because he returned the stones, right? So if he returns the Soul Stone, then the Red Skull would be there, right? Maybe Red Skull stayed in the shadows to take the stone from him and didn't want to rid himself. But still, he went to where Red Skull was. I want like Cap basically met Red Skull and we didn't get to see or hear about it. I was just like, but he saw Red Skull. Like, okay. Well, you know, I can let that go, but still, come on, Cap and Red Skull. Imagine they met all these years later. Well, I'm pretty sure Red Skull is free now as well, so I wonder, like, maybe he's the villain of Bucky and Falcon. I guess we'll see. Also, I was wondering, like, when Natasha and Clint went to Vormir, it's a bit weird that they didn't know who he was. Like, I know they're a lot later in time, but surely they know who the Red Skull is. Like, was the Red Skull forgotten or something in that universe? Like, how do they not know who he is? Is it just Cap knows who he is and Bucky? I don't know, but I just felt like Natasha and Clint probably should have known him. Like, I was clutching myself at that when I was watching it. I was like, wait, don't they know who he is? And in the final scene, you get Cap getting his dance finally. From the first Avenger, the dance he never got, he finally gets that dance with Peggy. I don't know if that was the first dance since, but still, he finally gets a dance. And that's where they end it. I thought that was a nice, very nice ending. A nice ending for Cap, in my opinion. A nice ending for Tony in a way, even though it's a sad ending, but still I felt they'd give him a heroic death. That's what I thought, the opposite. Like, I thought Tony would get a nice ending and Cap would get a heroic death, but it was the other way around. Thor gets an interesting ending, a bit of both in a way. And yeah, and then the credits roll, and then you get these signatures as well for the main Avengers, the main 6. They get all their signatures. Is it even real, or is it just fake ones for the movie? I don't know. It's probably fake ones for the movie, but still, I thought that was pretty nice how they like signed off all the names on the MCU. Yeah, and I think they'll, apart from Thor, I think they'll all be gone. Like, Cap obviously retired, so and I'm pretty sure Chris Evans said he was leaving anyway. But he could still come back though, to be fair, as a loophole. Tony Stark is dead, so that means RDJ's probably gone. He's expensive, to be fair, so you know, save some money. Chris Hemsworth, I'm pretty sure he wants to come back as Thor. I'm not 100% sure on that, but if he's in Guardians 3, then that'd be great. You know, that'd just be amazing. Black Widow, I think she'll do a solo movie and that'll be it. I don't think Renner's coming back unless he's in the Widow movie. Who does that leave then? Hulk. He might be in other movies, to be fair, potentially. Depends if they want to use him. But I'm not really too bothered about him anymore because he's not that great anymore. So I'm just like, okay, just do what you want with him. I'm not particularly that bothered at the moment. I hope they do something like Planet Hulk or something, but they can't because of Universal. Universal, please. Like, you'll make money out of this, Universal. Just do a Hulk movie. It'll be great. So yeah, I think Marvel needs to do more serious movies as well, because they've done Endgame, Infinity War. They were serious. Black Panther was pretty political. Civil War as well. Winter Soldier. Those are serious movies. Iron Man as well. Obviously, they're known more for the comedic stuff, but still, I think it would be nice for them to do like more serious toned movies, more darker movies. I think that would be great. But I'm grateful for what they've done so far, like Endgame, Infinity War, Winter Soldier, Guardians of the Galaxy, Iron Man, Avengers Assemble, Civil War as well, Doctor Strange, Homecoming, Ragnarok. There's so many good ones they've done. I appreciate that, I really do. It's great. So I'm gonna make a video basically reviewing the entire MCU from Iron Man to Endgame. I'm gonna make a video talk about each one briefly, I think. Probably not like go into too much detail. I'm gonna like tell you my thoughts on each one in like one big video. So that'll be next week's Movie Monday. And yeah, I forgot to say, welcome back to Movie Monday. I forgot to say that at the start of the video. I do apologize. This is a Movie Monday, okay? So come back next Monday for more Avengers, more MCU talk. And after that, probably next week after, will probably be like a ranking of all 22 movies. Yeah, I'll do that as well. Yeah, I'll do that as well. I'm looking forward to doing that. So, yeah, this is your boy Davidoff. Please like, share, subscribe. Thanks for watching. Have a good day. And as a great man would say, I love you 3000.